this is uh, uh, episode 5 of the Mini Lot Report. Oh no, around the league at the Mini Lot Report. My bad, people. It's a Sunday. You need to leave me alone. Crazy week here in the NFL. Not only did we have the great conference championship weekend, we had Tom Brady retire according to Adam Schefter, and then not according to Adam Schefter, and then retiring again on Wednesday,
according to Tom Brady.
Then we had 6 head coach hirings. And a former head coach suing the NFL for racism. So wild week, I would say.
Weird one.
Yeah. And there's only one game left. You had the two-hand touch Pro Bowl game that happened this weekend, or today actually. Here, was it the 6th? Sunday the 6th?
Yeah.
You're
right.
Right. But I think this week is definitely highlighted, other than the Tom Brady retirement, is the head coach hirings. Well, a couple of them were last week, but we wanted to do a quick roundup of all of them as more information came out about rest of these jobs. The 2 from last week were Nathaniel Hackett, which was the offensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, ends up with the Denver Broncos, which I think is a interesting choice. But if their sole goal is to land the great Aaron Rodgers in Denver, then that's a great way to lay out the groundwork there.
Yeah, it's a good move on their end if that's their long-term goal.
Right.
That's kind of the best way you can go, right?
Right, and I think the system that Green Bay ran was offensive system, but would translate really great to what they do good over there in Denver. A great backfield of Melvin Gordon, who I believe he's either on a 1-year deal. They could probably bring him back. And Javonte Williams is a running back that they brought through in the draft. They got great weapons on the outside, and Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. They got Noah Fant there at tight end, and a pretty solid offensive line, and one of the better defenses in the league. So you insert a nice offensive-minded coach, and then you go get yourself a quarterback that could possibly be Aaron Rodgers. Could really turn this Denver Broncos team into a contender in the next coming years.
And it really reminded me, obviously, kind of like Peyton Manning, where all the pieces were there but quarterback. And once they just kind of brought in Manning, he came in and it's like, all right, this is the only missing piece that we really had. And I think the coaching hiring is kind of perfect. Kind of gives Rodgers a good foundation to go set it and bring Devontae if they really wanted to as well.
All right, so we'll go ahead and flip over to Chicago, where they hired the defensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts, and Matt Eberflus. He was up for the Cleveland Browns job not too long ago. This is a Colts defense that's led the league over last couple of years. It's a great defensive-minded team, and I feel like this is really going to translate well in Chicago. Normally known for their defense. I think the problem there in Chicago was Matt Nagy, and it was holding back Justin Fields, who showed potential to be a great player. I think Chicago, where they need to start, is on the offensive side of the ball. Fix up that offensive line, add some weapons there, make Justin Fields' life a lot easier. If you give Justin Fields the weapons and the offensive line, this Chicago Bears team could really take over the NFC and the NFC North, with Green Bay really having question marks all over the place between Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers. And Minnesota having to fire their coach and Mike Zimmer, there's not really a threat right now in the NFC North. As of this minute, the future is definitely uncertain. So the Bears can really take this division this upcoming year if they're able to put this thing together. So now we'll move over to the West Coast with one of the first hirings this week, and I honestly believe this was the biggest surprise. Team went out there and got Joshy McDaniels. He finally gets his second opportunity as a head coach where he was in Denver, and I don't think he did horrible there, but they moved on with it from McDaniels, and he went back to New England and got a couple more Super Bowls. So I think it's a win-win for him. I think it's a perfect hiring for Las Vegas. They get a very smart coach. I really hope they give Derek Carr another chance there in Vegas. I think he'll plug in perfectly with McDaniel's offense. A lot of dink and dunk, which is perfect for Derek Carr. I think a lot of the weapons are there for the Raiders.
I agree.
I'm sure they're going to add another guy there, but I feel like what they have in Las Vegas is going to fit perfectly with what McDaniels does as an offensive coordinator. So this is going to be an interesting hire to watch. A first year, not a first year head coach, but someone that's returning to that role, which I think will definitely be interesting. And now we have another rehiring of a former head coach, one that has won a Super Bowl as a head coach, and Doug Peterson. Jacksonville has definitely had an interesting year as a team where they hired Urban Meyer, and it was one of the biggest hirings of this past season. And then my boy went from being this great hire to kicking his kicker, having college girls grind on him,
and having Tim Tebow by his side for a preseason.
I honestly don't even know. It sounded like players did not like him. He was kind of a dickhead. Just not a good fit. Probably set the team back a couple of years. But I think they fired him at the right time where they're still able to salvage what they had going, and brought in a guy that has been able to take a team to the Super Bowl in Doug Peterson. So he might be able to bring that team back to life, or at least get them in the right direction, which is, I think it's one thing that's always overlooked by some head coaches or GMs, that they might not take your team to the Super Bowl, but they'll at least get you in the right direction. Like I always think about like John Dorsey. John Dorsey's a great example, or Sashi Brown. Didn't always make the right picks, but Sashi Brown was able to accumulate all those draft picks. They were able to turn into great players that changed the culture here in Cleveland. Same with John Dorsey. Was able to pick your cornerstones of this team, guys that are going to lead your franchise for the next 10 years. Brought in the right guys to really turn this thing around. So I think someone like Doug Peterson might fit that role. He might not be able to take Jacksonville to the next level, but definitely get them going in that direction. And it might really come down to lack of talent, or he really just gets the thing going. I think that offensive system he ran in Philly would fit well with what they want to do with Trevor Lawrence and James Robinson. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, for sure.
So now the New York Football Giants hire the offensive coordinator from Buffalo, Brian Dabble. This is another guy that was up for the Cleveland Browns job not too long ago. Great offensive-minded coach. His name's been up for a lot of jobs over the last couple of years. Just never got any of them. Buffalo's had some of the best offensives in the last couple of years as well. Not great in the running game, but as far as passing game goes, it's top notch, I would say. So I would say it is a pretty interesting hiring there for the Giants. They bring in a top name, a top candidate for their head coaching job. Many people thought Brian Flores was going to take this job, but including Bill Belichick. So that's coming up. I don't know if you saw that. It was Bill Belichick accidentally broke the news to Brian Flores, and he thought he was texting Brian Dabble rather than Brian Flores. Because
no way.
Bill Belichick actually thought Flores got the Giants job, but then he congratulated him. But then he's like, "Oh wait, I thought I was talking to Brian Dabble." So,
damn, I did not hear about that.
Awkward.
Very. But I think both hirings with Jacksonville and the Giants are pretty similar in the sense of both teams just really need direction. Of any sort, they just need direction, because with a lot of these other teams, they kind of have that foundation where there's definitely I feel like with a lot of these other teams like Denver and Las Vegas that have a good structure already that just needs to get elevated. But I feel like with Jacksonville and the Giants have been running into walls these past 5-6 years where nothing has really worked. And I think both teams have been just trying and nothing has really panned out. And I think both teams just really need some type of coach to just just point them in the right direction, but also just elevate in a way that most can't. So yeah, you kind of need to bring in some type of a personality to do that. Like a bigger personality type person. And I think both hirings are I think suit both teams pretty well. So I'm excited for it. I think both teams. I think those are the biggest hiring outside of McDaniels. McDaniels, I think, is I think he deserves the second opportunity to kind of test out as another head coach. So I'm excited to see what he does. And if he does, and I've thought about this one, just to kind of wrap up my thoughts here. I thought about this one. If he's the kind of guy that wants to be like, you know what, I don't want Derek Carr. I want to have my own quarterback, which I could totally see him being that kind of guy. Jimmy Garoppolo will be open. That'd be an interesting twist. Just saying. He spent a long time together. So that's my 2 cents, and that's an interesting thing if he goes that route. Because he definitely could. He could definitely go that route and get some type of trade and pick someone up.
And just top off the last of the hirings from this following week is Kevin O'Connell, the offensive coordinator from the Rams, ends up in Minnesota. This was a job that they were pretty close from hiring Jim Harbaugh, and
had a 9-hour interview, I heard.
Yeah, and they just ended up not taking the job. Kevin O'Connell, obviously, he's going to Super Bowl this year. And, bringing that similar style of offense to Minnesota, that West Coast style of offense. And I think it's a perfect fit because you're not really changing anything about your personnel. It might just been a coaching problem where they were kind of grown exhausted of Mike Zimmer's ways.
A little flat. My opinion.
Yeah, it kind of grew probably too old for them, and they were just like, okay, we need to change things up here. So bringing a young mind like Kevin O'Connell, might be exactly what Minnesota needs, because they're one of those teams that already has that that ground built up already, that base.
Definitely do.
Really, yeah, they really have it put together right now, but maybe they just need that refreshment there at the head coaching position. That being said, we're gonna wrap this one up here
Yeah.
for this episode. Um, you know, 5th episode of Around the League. I think it's really turning into something here at the Muni Lot Report. We're about a week away from Super Bowl. Lots to talk about next weekend. And with these 3 jobs left, I'm sure we'll have more to bring to you next week. So, but once again, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, share our videos. And on the final note, go Browns.